G'day guys, it's Mark here. Welcome back to the Iron Empire. Now in this episode, what looks like a science experiment, it's actually a pretty sophisticated contraption to turn rusty junk into shiny gold. If you want to geek out and do some nice mechanical detailing, well then this is the episode for you. Okay guys, so what we have here is a DIY at-home electroplating kit, which is going to allow us to electroplate all of our hardware on all of our builds going forward when it comes to reassembling anything mechanical in our cars, our engine bays. When you want to really fine detail this stuff without outsourcing this stuff, we can do all this stuff now in-house. And yeah, we're going to get some really good results. We're going to be turning rusty crap like this and cleaning it all up, and it's going to come out looking brand spanking new like this. Now, if you are really into geeking out and detailing mechanical stuff, tinkering in the shed, spending hours farting around just to get that minute bit of detail, well, this is probably a really good episode for you. If you want hard, fast action non-stop, this is definitely not for you. Keep scrolling. Okay, now I'm going to do my best to try and show everything in one hit here. There is a little bit of shit going on. Once again, you guys should know by now, this is not a tutorial channel. This is just sort of me showing you what I'm up to for the week. And it's going to lead you down a path that you're going to do your own research. So basically, this is a kit by, this is a electroplating kit designed for home use. It's called a Jane kit. They're an Australian company. And I've done a bunch of research before I landed on this option, and I'm really happy with the results I've been getting so far. I've been working with this thing, every now and again for the last couple of months, and I've been wanting to do a video on it, and today's the day. So basically, when it comes to pretty much any manufacturing, when it comes to using metal components like fixings and bracketry and stuff, usually the most commonly used method to stop hardware from rusting is electroplating. Of course, there's a multiple of ways you can do things when it comes to hardware. It could be powder coating or painting, or just leaving it raw and letting it rust. But of course, we want to go better than that. We want things to look and last, and we want them to look really good, especially when we're doing like engine bay restoration, for example. I really like taking a car to that level, and there's only so far you can go when it comes to painting components, because often the paint will fail or it will chip when you're sort of putting things back together or tightening up fastenings and fixings and stuff. And not only that, it never really looks as good as having a good quality electroplate job, and it really takes the mechanical detailing to a whole nother level. So I got put onto this through my mate Daniel Smith. We done a video on his S-Pack XD, absolutely wicked car, and he done it basically like pretty much a resto on this thing. What really impressed me was the engine bay. He done it to look original as he could possibly go. Big horsepower motor, and he hid everything to make it look as factory as possible. And all of his nuts and bolts and clips and screws and every fastening, every fixing was electroplated in the gold, which would have come from originally. And it just made this engine bay look so trick. And since then I was hooked. I was like, I need to do this. Now, of course, there are companies locally that you can outsource this stuff to, and it's actually not that expensive. It's obviously it's a hell of a lot more affordable than chrome plating, but that's a different kettle of fish altogether. But the problem with outsourcing your electroplating is that you're going to be more cost effective to give them bulk quantities of nuts and bolts to get electroplated, and then you got to send all your shit out, and then you got to get it all back. You got to try and remember where everything goes. It becomes a bit of a challenge. And then not only that, you're without your parts for a period of time. And there's pros and cons to everything. The reason I like this kit is that I can tinker with some parts while the car is disassembled. If I'm doing a particular job on a car, and I pull something off to do a repair or replacement of a component, for example, I can just clean up the bracketries, the nuts and bolts, run them through the electroplating kit, spend a couple of hours detailing them all up, and then it's all gone back on the car pretty much the same day or even the next day, and the car's not off the road for a period of time. It helps me keep track of where I am with stuff, especially when I've got like 65 projects going on here. Look, there's a time and a place for everything, and I think a lot of people would get a lot of value out of a kit like this. So let's give you a bit of a run through on how it all works. Okay, so I just filmed about 5 minutes worth of me talking, realized it wasn't filming, so that's annoying. Disclaimer, this video is going to have a hell of a lot of talking. I'm going to be so sick of hearing my own voice by the time I've finished editing. So bear with me. It's going to be interesting though. So here we are on the bench where everything is going to start. We got nuts and bolts for days. We've got heaps of rusty shit here. We got cleaned up stuff here. This is where it all begins. Here are a few things I've done in the past. So I've done this. This is a yoke off of Andrea's Tirana, the old one that come off the original one. Cast iron yoke and a mild steel dust cover. So I cleaned that up, just gave that a 2-pack in a cast iron color to look factory, but which will stop it rusting because I wanted that look. And then here I wanted this to look original, which is just raw steel, but that has been electroplated to look factory. So that was, once again, pretty much looked like that, brown and crusty. And as you can see, it looks absolutely brand new and perfect. Bonnet catch, another perfect example. Electroplated bonnet catches. Nearly every bonnet catch under the sun is going to be electroplated. This thing was just a bit old and scrappy, starting to break down a little bit of rust and grime and shit. Gave that a good clean up on the wire wheel. Bit of a hard way to do it. Sandblasting would be the better method, but nonetheless, got it cleaned up and electroplated. This was just a test because I can't remember what it's from. It might be off my, no, it can't be off the LTD. I don't know what this is off. Does anyone recognize this? I'm assuming it's Ford, but it could be Mopar. Don't know. Actually, it could even be Holden for that matter. Who knows? Who knows what this is from? But as you can see, it looks like brand new, ready to go back on a vehicle. What we're going to do is today, I'm going to clean up this little brake part here on the wire wheel. Once again, sandblaster is the best option, the quickest option. It may not have the best finish because it does obviously give a bit of a satiny look. We'll talk a little bit about that later, but the best finish you can give it before is the better result you're going to have at the end. So it's like anything, everything comes down to preparation is key. So let's clean this up and then move on to the plating. Okay, so we have this part all cleaned up. Now, as you can see, off the wire wheel, already nice and shiny, looks great, but the problem is it's not going to last. We know that it's going to rust again. You can see a bit of pitting in there and everything, but who cares? It's what it is. It's clean. Now, I can't stress enough, you have to get into every nook and cranny. So in here, it's hard to get in there with a wire wheel, can be dangerous as well. That's where a sandblaster would be ideal because you can get right in there. Same with like nuts, awkward bolts, getting in the head, everything. You got to be really, I cannot stress it enough, you got to be really, really, really fussy about getting all the rust and contaminants out of there, because if you don't, it'll upset the apple cart of this whole situation. So get this as clean as you can. Once you're at that stage, you're ready to start running it through the process. Now, starting from the start, once again, this is not a tutorial, this is a basic overview. This here at the end is called the Jane Clean. This is a, no, sorry, it's not a clean. This is the, sorry, Jane Clean. It's a rust converter removal sort of thing, like a deoxidizer sort of thing. So if you put this component in there, even now that I've cleaned it, you'll see some action. But if you put that in before I've even cleaned it up, that will bubble and carry on, and it really, you know what, we'll put it in there anyway. We'll see if we can get a little bit more crap off this. I've done a pretty good job of cleaning it, but you'll see this get to work. All right, so you can see that working. Bit of bubbles coming off of there, and that's come out as clean as a whistle. The Jane Clean basically breaking down any rust that was left on the part. So after you want to do that, you want to rinse everything. Rinse, rinse, rinse. After every step, it's rinse, rinse. No matter what you do in this process, it goes back into the water. And I also should have some more rinses along the way. I'm just down a couple of tubs at the moment, so we're just going to use the one. Do as I say, not do as I do. So you want to rinse that off real good, and you want to even give it a scrub. Use the Mrs. Toothbrush and make sure there's nothing on there. No contaminants. We don't want any contaminants from the last step to go to the next step. After you've rinsed it, into the, what do they call this? The parts wash. So this is just another cleaner. This is more like a Sud type of cleaner. And anything that you put into that kit has to run through this first. So this takes off, I don't know what it takes off, but it takes off everything. Now, back into the rinse. Remember, I'm doing this wrong. This should be another rinse down the line, but I don't have enough tubs at the moment. So we're going to go back into this rinse. But I just did change this. This is brand new, so she's pretty clean. So give that a good rinse off. And now that's ready to be electroplated. Okay, so down here, by the way, you probably should wear gloves. This is, especially in here, is a bit, I don't know what this stuff is, but probably should do the Michael Jackson, at least one glove. Okay, so this is where all the action happens. This is the electroplating solution. Basically, it's, what do they call this? Electrolytes. It's almost like what you drink when you're thirsty. Basically, it's a, it's a home brew of, Gatorade, I guess. How this works is science that I don't get, but it's a thing. This is the power source. This is, once again, dude, I don't understand this stuff, but it's a power source, all right? Is basically a power source that you can control the amount of power and volts and things that I don't understand, but this controls the whole contraption. This is a positively and negative, like positively charged circuit, so positive and negative, and basically you hang your component here and it will then create the circuit, and it will, the power will charge this. There's some shit I don't really know how to explain it, but someone's going to explain it better on YouTube. YouTube's your friend. These are the anodes, which this is basically your zinc. So we are zinc plating this. This is going to convert, basically this is going to send zinc from these anodes through the hydrolyte in the water there, through to the component. Are you confused yet? I'm confused just trying to tell you. I know how to do it, but explaining it, I would never be a teacher. Here's my anodes down now. Now in here, a bit of side note, this is actually heated. This is at about 27 degrees. I've got a little fish pump, like a fish pond or fish aquarium, little heater in there, and also a tiny little water pump just to circulate the water, which has actually just died on me. So this water should be circulating ever so gently. So now that they are in place, ready to go, hopefully everyone's confused. This is where you change your power setting depending on the size of the part you're trying to plate. Now, there is a formula. I struggle with this. I sort of wing it a little bit, but I'm going to put the formula on the screen of how to do that. You basically have to calculate the surface area of the part you're trying to plate and then change the settings accordingly. So I'm not going to even attempt to tell you how to do that. I'm going to put the formula on the screen, and you have to do a bunch of research when it comes time to doing it yourself, just like I did. Now, you absolutely do not want to touch this with your bare hands, because the contaminants in your hands will mess up. It's not good. So you really should be wearing 2 gloves, but once again, we're giving it the Michael Jackson 1 glove. I'll just not touch the metal that I want to plate. So you wire it up on your little bit of copper wire here, and this is going to send the charge through. So now that we drop it in the water, completely submerged, that is now creating the loop. This is negative, and these are positively charged here. Now we turn this puppy on. That's running at probably close to what it should be, maybe a bit more. I do have an educated guess at the amount, but I also do sort of wing it because often I'm adding and taking out nuts and bolts as I'm doing the job, and I often have to change this on the fly. So you will see it working, and you'll know if it's up too high because this is just bubbling crazy. Okay, so we're back after about 45 minutes to an hour, which is right about the window that you want to work within. Now, I did make a slight adjustment to the output here, and I added a couple of washers that were for the Tirana. And so we're going to actually start with those first because I can. But as you can see, so these were absolutely trashed this morning. I actually left them in the solution. You can see the pitting from the rust. You're not going to hide that, but I've turned that into a totally usable part. So we'll set these aside in the rinse. Now the part that we started in, we're going to turn this off. And boo.
All right, boys, prepare to be dazzled.
That looks freaking mint. That is absolutely awesome. So we're going to take this over. We're going to give this a good rinse off in the water yet again. Once again, as I said, you need a new pot of water at every step, but we're, for the sake of showing you guys, running through this. Once that's got a good rinse off, it's got all the electrolytes off of it. But what we don't have off of it is the zinc. That zinc plating is awesome. So now we're going to drop this into what's called a Metex IT. I don't know. It's a pre-dip here before we put some color on this thing. So this basically allows, so if you, essentially that's putting all the zinc on it in this step. Now this will allow the color to stick to this freshly plated part. So as you can see, this little tub I've got is not quite big enough for the job. Get tubs that are big enough. I was doing smaller parts, so this was fine. You want to run this for about 30 seconds or so, and that will give it a good coat of solution. Once again, rinse again, more rinsing. Then we're going to go blue with this one. So bang in the blue. Once again, this should be covering. You get the gist of it. Okay, so after it's been in the pre-dip for 30 seconds, then into the color of your choice. This is the blue, that's the gold. This is about 2 minutes in here. And honestly, it's going to be a little bit hard to see while it's still wet because it's obviously shining with the water. But you can see how bright that is. So it is... And the blue is really hard to pick up on film, but it is like a tinge. It gives it almost like a holographic look. You can sort of see it a little bit better here on this thing. When it's dry, it's got a real nice bright look to it. It is actually quite a bit different. And it does add another level of protection. So here you can see the blue, and then here is some golds that I've done earlier for the dart. So I went with a bit of a subtler, sort of didn't want to go super gold, but you can see the holographic look in the gold a lot more clearly. And here's the other washes that I've done for the Tirana. I've done one of each color just to show you. I probably went a little bit gold with that gold, but you can see there that, well, there you can see the blue really nicely, how the tinge that gives it, and then there you can see the colors as well. So yeah, so anyway, from that to that to that, massive improvement. Okay, so that is the long version of how to do it without giving you that much information. I'm not sure if that helped anyone, but once again, I'm no good at tutorials, especially when I'm still learning. There's a lot of hiccups along the way that you'll still find, and you'll have to learn how to overcome them and work out what you've done wrong. It could be a misstep. It could have been being not quite as fussy as you should have been with cleaning, or getting the voltage wrong. There's a lot of things involved, but as you can see, I'm getting some really good results, and even the not that great results are still more than good enough to put on the car, in my opinion, for the level of cars that I'm building. And yeah, I'm super stoked with this kit. Now, this is not a sponsorship of by any stretch. I've paid for this with my hard-earned chaff, and you can get kits from small right up to large, and apparently these things will last you for years. So once you're done with this, pack it all up. I got these waterproof containers, so that once they are locked down, shut tight, they are sealed, and these kits, all this solution should apparently last for years, so I can pull this stuff out in years to come and go again. So that's it for this time around, guys. A bit of a different one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to using this a lot more with some of the assembly and the builds that we're doing in the channel. Like the video, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and also check out the online store. We still have a bit of winter stock still floating around, so if anyone wants to pick up some hoodies or whatever, there's still some stock. I have been a little bit slow with getting orders out, but everything is out as of right now. So if you haven't seen your merch, it'll be there soon. So cheers, guys. See you on the next one.